Okay, so welcome. Thank you for joining us today. We're finally going to complete the process of looking at the Path of Qoph, which we had started doing quite a while ago, but then with everything that was coming up, we got sidetracked. So we're going to go back and we're going to review just a little bit today. We're kind of in the middle of the path, and so we're going to continue to look at the different correspondences. But before we actually do the path working, I'll do a little PowerPoint review to pick up on the old things that we did months ago. But here we have our familiar tree of life. And we started off with Malkuth way back when, over a year, 2 years ago, looking at the kingdom, which was represented by the planet of Earth. And then we moved to Yesod, looking at the treasure house of images, dreams, and intuitions, which is the Sephirah of Yesod. And then looking at absolute perfect intelligence, the logical mind, and our waking consciousness, which is represented by the planet of Mercury and the Sephirah of Hod. And we completed this entire triangle and all the paths, and most of that can be found on the YouTube if you're interested. Now we begin our journey from Malkuth to Netzach. And this is the path of bodily intelligence, which is not represented by a planet, but by a sign, a constellation of Pisces, which we will also be looking at shortly. Moving towards Netzach. And the affirmation is, I will evolve to become a worthy vessel of God. So if you don't feel like you're a worthy vessel in this moment, that's okay. It's not that I am a worthy vessel. This is a process that you have committed yourself to moving towards. So, the next slide. Oops. Are the Qoph attributes. This slide remains the same for all of our Qoph correspondence presentations. And I just want to remind you that as we go through the different ideas that are associated with this specific path, which is the incense of young amber, that you can allow your mind to have a gentle focus on the images that come up as the subtext of the mind, and just sort of relax and sit back in a semi-meditative manner and allow yourself to feel and see and notice what you are experiencing as these concepts are presented to you. What happens in your body? What happens in your bodily knowing? What sort of images are coming up for you? Allow the wisdom of the subconscious mind to present itself to you. And just notice when you have these rigid trauma forms that block the flow. And as we draw these energies into our lives, notice the array of responses and jot them down. And you may want to come back and look at what you jotted down in a few months once we finish the path and the triad. Okay. So then we go forward. Well, we just ask that everybody turn off their video during the presentation and remain on mute. Whoa! Wow! Amber party. What the heck? That's the second time this week that that's happened, that the incense is really ignited. I'm going to pull this off. We have some amber incense here. Do you want to take this? This seems to be the problem. We'll write another one. Should we take it outside? I mean, what does that mean when that happens? You take it out. So we're just getting rid of some defilements here. Getting rid of some defilements. Probably what's happening is we're getting contamination with wax. So it stinks. Yeah, I'm gonna ask you to turn your video off because we are recording right now.
It calmed down when I took it outside. It was just, it got too much incense at once, I think. Now we are thoroughly cleansed.
Yeah. So I think I'm gonna proceed. And we'll go over all of the altar pieces, but today we've added the incense and we've also added a piece of solid amber, which we'll be discussing later. So, the amber. What we're talking about today is young amber, which is an incense that is associated with the path, and not the stone of amber. We want to make a distinction, but we'll be using the concept somewhat interchangeably. So let me explain to you what the difference is. Old solid amber that you typically buy as a gemstone is old. And so it can be 40 million years old, some of the oldest ambers, millions and millions of years old. But what we're talking about is only thousands of years old, and it's often referred to as copal, but in the text, they refer to it as young amber instead. It's a very sought after item, and trade in amber started in the Stone Age. So if you're going to buy amber incense, it's really important to know that you never really know what you're going to get. It's often a blend of resins. But if you get the copal amber, it's probably the young amber resin versus a collection of scents that are collectively referred to as amber. You could buy that in a perfume form, or you could buy that in a solid form.
We used to get a lot of really nice amber incense, copal from South America. I think it was used in a lot of sacred rites.
Yes.
South and Central America.
So it begins its life once the exterior of certain plants are wounded, as we see here with the tree. The lifeblood that's known as sap oozes out of the plant in a healing response to seal and protect and nourish the plant as it heals. This healing action is programmed into the plant and into the sap. It is automatic. It is the intuitive wisdom of the healing essence of nature. And this is the first gift that amber brings to us: healing and protection. And over time, the volatile compounds escape as a gas. And so you start with this oleo resin, which can still be honey-like. And then you move to a more solid gum resin, and then to a hard resin, which is our familiar solid gemstone of amber. So examples of an oleo resin would be turpentine and balsam. A gum resin would be frankincense and myrrh, and these pieces that we're using right here. I can't show you the other one because it went up in smoke. Let's see what this one does. And then the hard resin, which is the gems. So this is the second gift of amber, longevity, the gift of aging, very, very old. Shift forward. Amber can be found, you mentioned South America, it can be found in South America, it can be found in the Baltic, the Ukraine, the Dominican Republic, North America, and Central America. Probably a few other places, but these are the predominant areas. It's really important that when you do buy amber, that you think about ethics, ethical harvesting, and also you try to avoid cheap sources because those can be contaminated with heavy metals. So a lot of what you get when you go to the local store and you buy hard amber is typically industrially processed. These are extremely, you know, the two images with the bugs are extremely rare. These are museum quality pieces. But when amber is usually harvested, it's blurry, it's muddy, it's hard to see, it has bubbles in it, it's hazy. And so what they do is they will slowly heat it to about 300 degrees Fahrenheit. And that will remove a lot of the impurities. If you prolong that heating, then you'll get a darkened color of amber, although amber can darken on its own. There is natural dark amber. And then they slowly cool it. But if they don't slowly cool it, then you get inclusions, which is present, can be seen in this piece. This piece is loaded with inclusions. This is not a natural formation. This is not how it comes out of the ground. These are called sun spangles. Yeah. It's very beautiful, but it is not a natural formation. Amber can be blue, green, brown, red, black, and real amber will fluoresce under black light. Real amber will be warm when you pick it up and not cold. Real amber will smell like a pine when it's burned and not like plastic. So, oh, that's what I did. I don't know how to get rid of that. So Amber Incense is a blend of ingredients, and I'm going to tell you what that blend is now. You can get the copal, but when you get it as a blend, it is a warm, across the board, it's a warm, powdery, rich, sweet scent that's called a fantasy scent or an oriental fragrance. And it can contain vanilla, patchouli, laudanum, striax, our friend striax, benzoin, and other things mixed in a base of beeswax. You want to make a distinction between this and ambergris. This amber and ambergris are two different things. Ambergris is a waxy substance that's found in the intestines of the sperm whale, except today, usually it's a synthetic that's called ambroxan, which is extracted from clary sage, and it smells really nice. So what can you do with amber? I like to put a chunk in the car. It smells really nice in Florida in the summer. It has, here's how I interpret the magical use of amber. I find it to be very relaxing. I find that it makes me very receptive to my experience of feeling. And I feel a sense of steam that comes out of my pores, and I feel very drawn to it. And it makes me want to open my senses so that I can experience it more. And I also feel a created space of optimism, hope, and peacefulness. The orange and gold colors of amber are known to stabilize stronger and higher energies in the body. People will also use amber. A lot of parents will give their infants an amber necklace to alleviate pain associated with teething. Magically, people use amber to draw out negative energies and eliminate fears, and to acquire patience and wisdom and soothe their bodily aches. It's good for sex magic, and it's good for attraction magic, which are both appropriate for our Sephiroth because it electrifies desire. Another important quality of amber is its electric quality. So when you take real amber and you rub it with the right piece of fabric and the right atmospheric conditions, you'll get static electricity. So it has an aliveness that's sort of packed in there, built into its quality, an enlivening property. And this directly affects our energetic body. And affects our psychic circuitry. So it can enhance your psychic capacity and your psychic perception. It flows like golden sunlight honey into the nooks and crannies of our frazzled nerves to soothe, calm, and clear stagnation and stuckness with a calm fastidiousness that persists over time. And then to shine an ageless light of healing into those cleared pathways. So it can be used to access very old genetic wisdom that's stored both in your body and in the incense itself. Information from past lives, from the ancestors, from the collective unconscious, and from the very template of the Akashic records. And you can use it in any situation that needs to be purified, healed, enlivened, or electrified. It's very useful. And that's what I have for you today. Here's my bib. So finish it off. Okay. There you go. All righty.